Hello and a warm welcome to the program. I'm Melinda Akinlami. Our focus is on the North Central today, but first, our top stories. Against the backdrop of another phase of review of the 1999 Constitution by the National Assembly as amended, the former Vice President, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, has recommended a rotation of the presidential position amongst the 6 geopolitical zones flowing between the North and South on a single-term basis of 6 years. His proposal, addressed to the Deputy President of the Senate and Chairman Senate Committee on Constitution Review, Senator Barrow Jibrin, contains recommendations bordering on themes such as procedures for the educational qualification of candidates in the election and internal democracy in political parties. Mr. Abubakar believes that the proposed amendments will enthrone the discipline needed in the democracy and they are necessary in regulating elections in the country. Members of the River State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, held a protest march in Port Harcourt, the state capital. The protest, which began at the PDP Secretariat on Abar Road, proceeded to the Department of State Services office in the old GRA area, where they submitted a petition and then marched to the Government House. Members of the Tony Okocha-led faction of the All Progressives Congress APC joined the PDP members in the protest with placards opposing the upcoming local government elections scheduled for the 5th of this month.
Oh, sorry.
The Plateau State Independent Electoral Commission, PLASEC, has concluded arrangements for the conduct of the local government elections with the introduction of voters' verification system for the exercise. During a stakeholders meeting in Jos, the PLASEC chairman explained that the newly introduced system is to reduce multiple voting as well as guide against impersonation during the poll.
Honorable Mrs. Deborah Clement Akande, Commission Member.
Preparations are in top gear for the conduct of elections for local government chairmen and councillors in the 17 local government areas of Plateau State, scheduled for Wednesday, October the 9th, 2024.
Organized by Plateau State Independent.
Addressing political party officials, security chiefs, civil society organizations and aspirants on the level of preparedness by the Electoral Commission, Chairman of the State Independent Electoral Commission announced the novel idea of voter verification system, which is similar to bimodal voter verification system.
This election will also mark a significant milestone in the history of PLASEC, as we are introducing electronic components for the first time, including a state-of-the-art voter verification software developed exclusively by our ICT team in collaboration with the DG PIDA. This innovation is designed to ensure that only eligible voters can cast their votes, a crucial step towards making sure that the voices of Plateau people are heard and respected. Massive infrastructural investment has been made to cater for the effective deployment of this innovation.
The Police Commissioner in Plateau State, Mr. Emmanuel Adeshino, assures that security of life and property, including electoral materials, is guaranteed during the forthcoming polls.
We are working closely with PLASEC. On the day of election, we are setting up ops control room to respond to all distress calls that will be coming up. And I want to assure that all the voters should come out en masse. There is assurance of safety and there will not be any problem whatsoever on that day of election.
In a related development, the Labour Party in Plateau State at a press briefing denies rumours that the party has withdrawn its candidates from the elections.
I am using this medium to state that the Labour Party is contesting all positions from chairman to councillorship in the state, and that none of our candidates has stepped down for anybody. Thus, it is very appealing to hear that such unfounded information is being disseminated, which is hereby refuted vehemently.
The political parties are expected to participate in the local government elections with 75 candidates contesting for the chairmanship positions, 788 candidates for councillorship positions across the 355 electoral wards in the state.
Meanwhile, the Nasarawa State Independent Electoral Commission, NASEC, has slated November the 2nd for the conduct of its local government polls. The NASEC chairman, Mr. Ayuba Wandai, disclosed this during a media briefing at its headquarters in Lafia, the state capital. The tenure of the present elected local government officials is expected to end on October the 7th, having spent 3 years in office following the election on October the 6th, 2021.
On the 31st August 2023, the Commission released a notice of election and a timeline of activities leading to the conduct of the 2024 local government councils elections on the 31st August 2024. However, the Commission was served with an originating summons by the Federal High Court Lafia in a matter filed by one Paul A. John Esquire and 12 others against the Nasarawa State House of Assembly and the Nasarawa State Independent Electoral Commission, challenging Section 8E of the Nasarawa State Local Government Election Law 2018 and Sections 3J, 3K, and 9 of the Local Government Council's Elections Guidelines 2024. As a law-abiding institution that has continued to promote adherence to laws, rules, and regulations governing the conduct of local government councils elections in Nasarawa State, the Commission decided to postpone indefinitely all scheduled activities leading to the conduct of the 31st August 2024 local government councils elections. Having had our day in court by emerging victorious, the court dismissed the suit and upheld all our contentions. The plaintiffs, being dissatisfied with the judgment, filed a notice of appeal at the Court of Appeal Makurdi, but have suddenly filed a notice of withdrawal, discontinuance of notice of appeal on Thursday, 26 September 2024, thus clearing the way for the conduct of the 2024 local government councils elections.
Let's move to Kwara State, where the pediatric surgeons across the country have assured Nigerians of a continuous improvement in the quality of surgical care provided for children to reduce infant mortality. The president of the association, Professor Roland Osioji, made this commitment during the 23rd Scientific Conference of the association held in Ilorin, the state capital.
According to the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, over 260,000 children die at birth annually in Nigeria, making it the second highest rate globally after India. Members of the Association of Pediatric Surgeons of Nigeria are gathered here in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, for a symposium to discuss ways to reduce this alarming number.
Pediatric surgery as a subspecialty is of age now and has a solid foothold in the delivery of healthcare in Nigeria.
In his welcome address, the association's vice chairman, Professor Lukman Abdulrahman, urges surgeons to adopt innovative techniques to improve surgical outcomes for children.
The theme of this conference, quality improvement in children surgical care, and the sub-theme, transitional care in pediatric surgery, are a pointer to the efforts of the Ilorin team and all Nigerian pediatric surgeons to improve the quality of surgical care of children and assure the continuity of care beyond childhood.
One of the guests commends the initiative, expressing hope that it will lead to positive results in the long run.
I also believe that the best practices will be shared at this gathering, which should benefit the children, promote economic growth, especially at this critical period in our country.
At the end of the symposium, it's expected that measures will be implemented to help reduce children mortality in the country.
Staying in Kwara State, the government has organized a retreat for the 16 local government chairmen and their deputies in order to guide them on their new assignment, especially as it regards finance and provision of infrastructure for the various communities. However, the candidate of the opposition is calling on the National Assembly to speed up action on the passage of the law preventing the state electoral body from conducting future local government elections.
The election of the new local government chairmen and their deputies was held on Saturday, September 21st, and they were inaugurated 2 days later at the Government House Exco Chamber. Less than a week after their inauguration, they are now participating in a training program aimed at improving the administration of their respective local councils. Chairman of this event. One of the resource persons, Professor Hassan Saliu from the Department of Political Science, University of Ilorin, led some of the sessions offering insights into better governance. The chairman expressed high expectations for the retreat, with many hoping it will sharpen their administrative skills.
We have never been in this kind of a situation before, and there's need for us to keep abreast of what we're going to meet when we get to office. Bringing us, on the round table and telling us what we were expected of the law, what is all about local government, and what we are to face when we are in the office, and when we have a situation, how to handle it is very, very important for us. It will enable us to hit the ground running and will be able to cope with any circumstance we may ourselves.
The relationship between the chairman and the other members of the Executive Council, the relationship between the Executive Council and the legislature. We've learned all those things. In fact, the seminar, the retreat is very, very, very important before we assume office fully.
Meanwhile, Musbahu Eshirogunjo, the PDP candidate for Ilorin West local government in the recent election, held a press conference urging the National Assembly to pass a law allowing only Independent Electoral Commission (INEC) to conduct local government elections.
Every election being conducted by anything called fake, under the umbrella of the government control, they will just sit down in a room and just sit down and write a result. Somebody said it at that National Assembly, where they are calling for the scrapping and dissolution of anything fake in Nigeria. We are even appealing to federal government to speed that law, because that law has gotten first reading, that law has gotten second reading. We are only waiting for the Senate to come, arrive now again, and pass the third reading.
This election marked the first local government election in Kwara State in 7 years.
Welcome back. In Niger State, over 300 communities are flooded and an estimated 5 million locals have been displaced from their homes. Our correspondent gathered that women and children are now taking shelter upland, converting schools to IDP camps, but they are also faced with acute water scarcity. During a tour of some of the affected communities, Channels Television visited Jifu and Merigi, which are located on the bank of the confluence of rivers Niger and Kaduna.
Floodwater has taken over some communities in Mokwa and Mashegu local government areas of Niger State. Children wade through the water, oblivious of the implications. According to the Niger State Emergency Management Agency, over 3,000 communities are affected by the flood, which is the result of the latest heavy downpour in the area. Aside from the concerns of disease outbreak, the victims are concerned that the disaster has only worsened their economic situation.
We are already in a dire situation with economic challenges occasioned by the fuel subsidy removal. We are already worried over the poor yield in our farm, and we are now experiencing flood washing away our fields.
Our community is always at the verge of flood because we are at the center of the river Niger and Kaduna. This time, we are sacked from our homes and we are now taking shelter in this school. Our cry is for the government to support us with essentials like food.
While livestock farmers are unable to tend to the animals, crop farmers are counting their losses. The statement from the emergency agency estimates that over 118,000 hectares of farmlands were washed away. Though the latest disaster has not led to the loss of lives, the local government chairman is calling for help.
Anytime that there is a discharge as a result of overflow from the dams, it affects us largely compared to any other community that is a bit far away from the riverbank. The effect this year is very much because so far houses have been submerged, farmlands have been washed away, a lot of animals have been killed, though we've not recorded any death this year. Some schools and primary health care as well has also been submerged.
Meanwhile, the state government has deployed an impact assessment team to the area. For now, the victims are taking shelter in some of the schools in the area.
To discuss this issue of flooding in Niger State, we're being joined by the Managing Director, National Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, Mr. Abubakar Yewa, on the support for the victims. A pleasure having you on the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Mr. Yewa, what immediate steps is NHyperDEC taking to assist the affected communities, especially with the amount of communities that have been flooded and people displaced?
The situation is very overwhelming, and that we have already sent out our teams not only to Niger, but almost all the 10 HyperDEC states. But the most area affected is Niger State. Niger State, where over 17 of their 23 local governments are riverine communities, and that the commission has identified the communities. We have undertaken on the sensitization exercise, and we have also started constructing housing units for those communities because it's a persistent yearly program, a problem that kept recurring every year. But this year is worst, and that the Niger State government, in collaboration with NEMA and HyperDEC, are also doing our own assessment to see what level of intervention is required by the communities. Meanwhile, our team is working on providing foodstuffs and shelter, temporary shelter, in order to house those that are still wandering around, because only very few have found solace in the schools. Some of them are still living on treetops or wandering around without anywhere to stay. The situation is alarming.
Now, talking about those people living in schools, like the women and children we saw in that report, now taking shelter in the schools and having converted them to camps, how is your commission addressing the issue of acute water shortage and other basic needs in these camps?
Yeah, we are addressing the water shortage by constructing emergency hand pumps in those settlements. And we have also organized medical outreach where the people can be checked and their physical state of health can be assessed and be assisted with medical support. We are hoping to start the exercise tomorrow, and that it is going to take about 5 days in almost all those camps and even in other communities that are not so badly devastated.
Mr. Yewa, you mentioned that this is a recurring scenario. So what long-term recovery plans does HyperDEC have to support the affected farmers and restore their livelihood? Because a lot of farmlands have been destroyed.
Seriously, Madam, the Commission is working in collaboration with all the hyperdeck state governments, the ministries of agriculture. We have a committee of commissioners and hyperdeck, and that presently we have approved deployment of extension workers to help those farmers, to guide them on what crops to go for. And that because sometimes it is not only the flooding that affects them, but not knowing the type of crop and what time those crops should be planted. And that on the states are mostly responsible for these things. So therefore, we are only supporting the states, because the commission is not taking over the responsibility of the states, but we are helping to ensure that we cushion the effect. And the states have cooperated with the commission by directing their commissioners of agri and various other commissioners to liaise with the commission and come up with a program that can alleviate the suffering of the people. Virtually, the hyperdeck states are blazed, because we look at the flooding sometimes as a blazing, because if the water can be utilized for agricultural development, it will help the people, it will help the farmers. We are also looking at the youth. Because of their present state of unemployment, we are providing youth transformation program for them. Already we have trained 5,000 youth, and that we have procured starter packs, and we are now registering them with the Corporate Affairs Commission. And very soon we are going to hand over these starter packs to the youth, and that is going to be a yearly program. We are hoping that this will make them become economically viable and will be able to help themselves. We are also working on a housing program where we have identified the communities. For instance, in Niger State alone, even if you budget to provide 100 houses for these communities, it's not something very small, but we have started. For instance, Moregi, the most affected community, we have commenced construction of 120 housing units. In Keso, we have commenced construction of 180 housing units. In the Shiroro area, we have commenced construction of over 120 housing units. And this is only in Niger State. This is also applicable to Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara. We have commenced these constructions. We have also commenced in Benue State. These are the most affected communities with the effect of River Benue, River Niger, and River Kaduna. And we are hoping that with the little resources and the support we are getting, we are going to do more. We are very grateful to
the Managing Director of
income of the commission.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Abubakar Yewa, for sharing your time with us and your thoughts with us as well. As the Managing Director of Hyperdeck, speaking about the situation in Niger State and what the Commission is doing to help. That's it on the program. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Melinda Akinlami.